Hi friends, so welcome to this new class, and today we shall begin a new lesson, a new chapter. It is about the law, to understand the law, understanding the laws. I hope you remember in the last lesson we learned about the parliament, and there we learned the functions of the parliament. That is first one is to elect a national government. Second one is to control, guide and inform the government. And the third function of the parliament is making laws. So it is about this third function of the parliament that we are going to study in this lesson exclusively. So we will learn nicely how the laws are made, what is the nature of the law, and so we shall study. And you know that there are a lot of laws are there in our society, and some of the laws I am sure you will be aware about. That government has made a law that for people to get married they should reach certain age. For women it is 18 years and for men it is 21 years. So before that, if they get married, they are violating the law of the country and they can be arrested. That is one law. Another law says that a person to get driving license, he should complete 18 years. Before 18 years, he cannot apply for driving license. It will not be granted. So like that, there are so many laws are there in our country. And government has made these laws for the benefit of the people, in order to help the people, so that there will be coexistence, we can say, there will be normalcy and so on. Otherwise each one will do what they want, and then you will be blocking the freedom of others, and that will create confusion, quarrel, fight, and there will be lawlessness in the country. So in order to avoid all that, government has made certain laws which is common for all. So it is a duty of the parliament, it is all the members of the parliament who sit together, discuss together about a new law, which before becoming law it is called a bill. So they will discuss about the bill and they will analyze if this law is implemented in our country. What are the positive points? What are the negative points? So they will discuss it thoroughly, and if any changes to be made, they will make it. And if the opposition party is strong, then they can reject this bill, because a bill to be passed as a law, they need half of the parliament's support. So if the ruling party does not have support in both houses, in Parliament, in the Lok Sabha as well as in Rajya Sabha, then the bill cannot be passed. So it is all depends on how the parliament members are supporting them in order to pass this law, and which will become law in turn. So when the president signs that, it becomes a law. So it is the final stage of the law that the president will sign that bill and it becomes a law for the country. Now let us see whether the laws are applying to all or not. We see in our country there are a lot of VIPs are there. VIP. Now it has been extended to one more word. Very, very important person. That is VVIP. So everyone likes to be important. Everyone likes to be called by their certain positions, their offices. Some of them were once upon a time holding some office. They will say ex-MP, ex-MLA, ex-member, and so on, ex-secretary, ex-president, and so on. So they like to say that I was so and so, and therefore what are they planning to say? I am an important person. I was holding that post. So they are not talking about their present status, but they are talking about their past status, by which they want to say that they are an important person. But when we speak about there is no important person before the law. Everyone is equal and everyone is citizen of our country. So let it be the President of India or Prime Minister of India or maybe the lowest, at the lowest grade, maybe the poor of our country, or maybe a farmer, or maybe a landless laborer, whoever may be. Everyone is a citizen of India, and therefore before the law everyone is equal. The law treats everyone equally. That means if the president is doing one mistake and a laborer is also doing that same mistake, both of them should get same punishment. We cannot say this is president, so okay, we will excuse, and this is a laborer, poor fellow, so we will punish him hard. No, the law does not say that. The law makes everyone equal. Everyone is equal before the law. That is one of the beauties of Indian judiciary system. Everyone is equal before the law. That is what is written, and what is taking place we do not know, whether all are equally treated or not. You may know how many examples where the rich person is able to escape from the punishment. He knows the loopholes, he knows where is the gap. So if you appoint one lawyer, he will be able to tell so many lies and he will be able to make a criminal a sincere person or a just person and so on. So that kind of loopholes are also there in our judicial system. But as per law, everyone is supposed to be equal. And let us say an example, a case study. A government official helps his son to go into hiding because he has been sentenced for jail in a criminal case. So, one big officer, a government officer, his son did some mistake, some crime. Therefore, he has been sentenced to 10 years in a jail. So, the minister says, or the government officer says, they are going to arrest you and put you in the jail. So, you go and hide somewhere, don't come out. So, if he says that, we can say the government officer is not right. So, he is trying to hide someone who is guilty, who is supposed to get punishment. It is because of his son he is hiding. Suppose if it is somebody else, then he will not hide him. So he is not acting justly. So a person, whether it is his own son or his own brother or sister, whoever it may be, he should tell that person, you have made that mistake, therefore you have to accept that punishment. Don't try to escape from the law. So that is a right person's answer, right person's view. But here we find that government officer trying to help his son, trying to escape the punishment and so. So that is against the law. So he is violating the law. The government officer who is part of the government supposed to obey by the law of the government. He is trying to break the law because he wanted to save his son. Then we know there should be no arbitrary power. When we are studying in the previous lesson, we saw the government should not use arbitrary power. The powerful should not control or subdue the powerless ones. Everyone should be equal before the law. So, in order to make everyone equal before the law, it is mentioned in the Constitution of India that everyone will be equal before the law. There is no priority for anyone, no importance for anyone. If anyone has done, if two people have done same mistake, both of them should get equal punishment. That is what the law says. Now, the law cannot discriminate. Discriminate means making difference, showing difference. Should not discriminate between persons on the basis of religion, caste or gender. So, suppose a crime is done by people who belong to one religion. Oh, he is belonging to my religion, so let him escape, let him spare. So we should not make the difference. and another person belonging to another religion is doing the same mistake, we should give him tight one, we should give him maximum punishment. So that kind of discrimination should not be there. Whether people belonging to different religion or belonging to different caste, upper caste and lower caste, when upper caste people are doing the mistake, he is given very small punishment. But a person belonging to the lower caste do the same mistake, does the same mistake, and he is given very severe punishment. So there is no equality. So that should not be done in our country. Or based on gender, whether he is male or female, there should not be any difference. The law should be the same for both of them. Then, neither a government official nor a wealthy person and nor even the President of India is above the law. So we said everyone is equal before the law. Whether it is the President of India or Prime Minister of India or an ordinary, common, very poor citizen of India, doesn't matter. All have got equal right before the law. All can get equal justice from the law. So, in our country, we can say that the process of punishment, when someone has done some mistake, simply cannot give the punishment. It has to be analyzed, it has to be go to the court, should be proved that that person has done this mistake and so on. Only then the punishment will be given, because the court is not supposed to punish an innocent person. So before giving the punishment, it is the responsibility of the court to make sure that this person is guilty, he has done some mistake. So as per the Indian Penal Code, it is written there, for what this mistake he should get this punishment. So everything is written down there. Accordingly, the judge will give verdict and punishment. So we can say, if you go to some of the villages, they have their own laws. The village or certain areas, certain tribes, they have got their own laws. So what to do if the two people are fighting, or what punishment to give if somebody has killed another one. So there are so many laws are there. Apart from this law that is given from the parliament, we have also so many small laws are there in our locality, in our villages and so on. So we can say different communities enjoy different degrees of autonomy in administering these laws. So different communities or different tribes, they have their own autonomy, they have their own power to decide to punish a person according to the law of that tribe. So that way the people had certain freedom to exercise their judgment over the guilty person and so on. And in some cases, punishment that two persons receive for the same crime vary depending on their caste backgrounds. So, especially in olden times in India, suppose a high caste person and a low caste person, if they are fighting, both of them should get equal punishment. But we find in the caste India, where this caste system existed, people belonging to the higher caste, they often go free. They get very little punishment, they use their influence. But the poor person, the low caste person, they are given a very severe punishment. Then so this slowly began to change as the system of law began to further evolve during the colonial period. So the British were ruling India, and the British came and they began to introduce their own law system into India. They began to bring their ideas, their law, how to treat the criminals, and so they began to bring. So the British brought some kind of law, common law, which is meant for all the country into India. And sometimes people believe it is because of the British that we have law in our country. We think that it is British who introduced law in our country. But when we realize or when we analyze, we can say we realize that it is not British who brought the law system, the just system into our country. British brought some law, that is true, but it was all for their own benefit. What they brought was very arbitrary laws. Arbitrary means making the law for one's own benefit, not meant for the benefit of the common people, but for one's own benefit. For example, if I am an arbitrator, I will make law that is helping for me, so that whatever mistake is there, nobody will punish me. But if anybody else is doing same mistake, they will be punished. So, giving me power over others while I am above the law. That is the arbitrator's rule. British was doing that. The British also did lot of mistakes. They killed so many Indians, but none of them were punished. They were all free. But when Indians happened to kill somebody, then they were getting very severe punishment. So that kind of rule only British introduced. There was no justice at all. There was no just judicial system under British. All what they made was the arbitrary law. Let us see two examples of the arbitrary law that British introduced. One is called Sedition Act 1870. Sedition Act 1870. So under this act, what happened? The idea of sedition was very broadly understood with this act. Any person protesting or criticizing the British government could be arrested without due trial. So, government passed this act or this law, Sedition Act 1870. British passed this law only with the intention of Indian people should not criticize the British government. That was their only intention. So if anybody is heard criticizing the British government, then they can be arrested and put in jail. There is no trial, no taking him to the court and so on. Straight away he will be arrested and put in jail. So there is no justice at all. If there is a just law, then he should be examined, he should find out what mistake did he do, and he should be analyzed, or his case should be heard by the judge and so on. But here, nothing of that sort. He is simply given punishment. He is arrested and put in jail. So that is an arbitrary law. There is no justification at all. The person is criticizing the British government or protesting against the British government, and he is arrested and put in jail. Then another example is I am sure you all might have heard about Jallianwala Bagh massacre. So Jallianwala Bagh is in Punjab. So it is a big hall, we can say, or big ground, and all surrounded with walls, and there is only one entrance. So the people were protesting there against an act or a law made by the British government. It is said Rowlatt Act. Row. (1919). So, under this law, this is called another law made by the British government. That is also arbitrary law, only to make them to arrest or persecute Indians. They made this law. So, after this law, British government can imprison people without due trial. So, this is also somewhat same as Sedition Act. So, according to this law, the British government can simply arrest anybody and put in the jail. Here means people who are protesting or criticizing the government, then they will be arrested and put in jail. But here in this Rowlatt Act, no need to do protesting also. If the police see, the British government see that somebody is not good or somebody is against them or they don't like them, simply they can arrest and put in the jail. That is the attitude that they show. So that is another law that is made by the British to show their arbitration. And people, Indian people joined together. They wanted to protest against this law that Indian can be arrested and put in jail without any trial. So they went to the place called Jallianwala Bagh. They gathered there, they protested there, and as the people were protesting, the British general called Dyer, he came with his troops, his soldiers, and he entered into this ground, closed the gate, and told his soldiers to start firing the people who gathered there. So that day, hundreds of people died because of this firing. Actually, the people did not protest, did not do any violence. They were having peaceful protests. And the British officer, General Dyer, came and shot them, and hundreds of people died. So that is an example of another arbitrary law. So those people who say it is the British who introduced law in our country, we can rightly refuse them to believe. We can straight away discredit them, because the law that British introduced was not applying to all. It was only for Indians to obey. The British people were above the law, so that is not a proper law at all. So the common law was not there meant for all. It was only to persecute Indians. The British were making different types of laws. So that way we can say it is not the British people who introduced the law, but it is we can say the Indian people, the Indian nationalists, the Indian ideologists, the Indian leaders. It is they who persisted against the government, put force on the government to introduce new laws which are common to all, which can apply to all, and so on. In that way, slowly, the idea of law and just law, a law that is applying to all, that kind of laws came about, and slowly we can see that after independence, the Indians began to think about or plan about all these just law, and it is mentioned in the Constitution of India. So it was Indian leaders who took initiative to bring a just law, had an idea about a just law where everyone will be treated equally, whether rich or poor, whether they belong to one religion or another religion, whether they are male or female, everyone should be treated equally before the law. That was the intention our national leaders had in mind, and with that intention they made the constitution, they wrote the constitution, and giving right to all the people's rights and duties and so on. So today we shall wind up here, and next day again we will continue to study about the laws, how the laws were made and how the laws can apply to all that. So we will continue with the same topic in the coming class. So till then, bye. So thank you for listening.